We delivered. I actually host a podcast called Moms at Work. It is a podcast that encourages working moms in the work that they do inside their home and outside their home.
Okay, so I wanted to make this video on Jeanette's, aka the strict mom. I listened to her podcast with her kids, and honestly, I thought it was great. It was a great conversation with her kids. But I got notes. I got notes. Honestly, my notes are all over the place. But first, let me just say that you guys are not super strict parents. I found this video because it went viral, obviously, but I found the comments in there mainly came from mostly disgruntled teenagers, which I thought was hilarious, because really most of your rules break down into a category of 80s and 90s kids. Like, these kids would lose their shit if they knew that there was only one computer in the entire house. And in the 80s, you maybe had one TV in the entire house. I mean, at least I did. We were poor as hell, so there was only one TV. So having your computer in a room was crazy. So I'm gonna try to make this video as brief as possible. But first of all, you guys are not strict parents. And honestly, I thought the best part about the entire podcast was how open and honest and great conversation that you had with your kids, where they didn't really feel like they had to hold back. And you can tell that while you guys have your rules, they are not strict. And I think one of the important things, and I started getting this after a while, is that you guys have your own story. You have your own way of raising your kids, and it's working for you. Yes, you've had your challenges, and this is obviously for you guys to talk about. I'll try to listen on some other podcasts that you have on there to talk about struggles that maybe you had with Zeke. But you can tell that there's more underlying things that you guys don't have to share, obviously. But I felt like that was one of the pieces that I enjoyed about it, that there's more to it on the back end on why you had to put these boundaries in place to make sure that your kid doesn't stray too far. And I think that's the big piece that a lot of people miss, is that yes, you're trying to raise a kid, yes, you're trying to raise a boy into a man, but more importantly, you're still trying to create boundaries, because there was a trust that was lost there because he did things that he wasn't supposed to do. And unfortunately, him being the oldest, the other ones kind of get the brunt of it. I have a 20-year-old, so I totally understand that. There's a saying by Ronald Reagan: trust but verify. I've held true to that all of my life with my kids. I'll trust you, I really will, but I will verify. I won't do it all the time, but I will verify. And ironically, Life 360 is one of those things that you trust, but you verify. I really don't use Life 360. My ex-wife does with my daughter and my son way more. I don't. I really don't. I basically just use it like, oh, she left her school and she arrived at her mom's house. That's really all I care about. Gives me the little notification. I'm good. I'm not tracking how many miles per hour they're driving on the road or anything like that. Like, not doing that. So here, let's go into my notes. So one thing that I found interesting is that, yes, basically you guys got stuck in the algorithm where you were trying to go after adults in the algorithm, but somehow a bunch of teenagers that were disgruntled actually got it. And I thought that was, again, hilarious. And I think context is super important. I think anyone that just stumbled upon your videos really doesn't understand the context in your relationship. Again, this is for you guys to have, not really for anybody else to care about, but you went viral because you asked the question. And if you ask a question, sometimes you'll go viral. The one that I found probably the most odd, but I get it, is the no game consoles in the room. What I mean by that is, I think most teenagers and most parents don't realize that there is some very crazy stuff that happens inside of these rooms. And I don't mean like Call of Duty. I mean like harmless games that you would think aren't really a big problem, like games like Roblox, silly games like that you would think that aren't an issue. There are some pedos on there, unfortunately, that they troll these rooms, and it's very scary. So putting up guardrails for your kids like that, I don't really have a problem with. My own personal philosophy, I didn't really do that with my kid, but I did have a time limit on him being able to play video games. It's mostly him. My daughter went through a phase where she played Roblox a little bit, but it really wasn't that bad. Making plans make total sense. And I'll give you some context here. So I'll post up a photo of basically a text stream that I just had with my daughter yesterday. My daughter's 17. She asked me if she can go to a volleyball game. She then, after the volleyball game, said, can I go to McDonald's with my friend afterwards? 99% of the time, I'm gonna say yes. she's never given me a reason not to trust her on what she says. And I think that's one of the big key factors, is that I think hopefully I've done a decent enough job where my kids always feel like they can contact me and talk to me about pretty much everything. So much so that if you go back on some of my older videos, there was this one random video where somebody was like on a lawn tractor or some shit, and they asked, you know, how long does it take your kids to text back? And I was just laying on the couch, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I was just scrolling. And I literally texted my kids, both of them. They weren't even in the house. I got a text back from my 20-year-old and my 17-year-old in like maybe 3 minutes. And all I said was like, hey kids, love you, hope you're doing good. That was it. They just texted me right back. The blankets thing, still weird, because in my house, I don't know, I'm Latino, man. Like, you ain't bringing your girlfriend over. You're not bringing your boyfriend over. You ain't going to your girlfriend's house. You ain't going to your boyfriend's house. My daughter hasn't had a boyfriend, so cool. My son had a girlfriend or whatever when he was like 16, but it's not like she was hanging out at the house and they weren't hanging out together. And I knew where they were at.